Good morning. Welcome back to Backcountry Skiing Canada, and this is the Whitewater Avalanche Conditions Report. I'm Ren McElroy. I'm the Snow Safety Supervisor at Whitewater Ski Resort, and I'm a professional member of the Canadian Avalanche Association. So today is January 2nd. Last week we were talking about the rain crust and the surface hoar, so we thought this week we would take a look at this layer. We're in our summit weather plot where we take our daily snow readings. And a few other things that this layer is still a concern to us. There's a lot of skier triggered and skier remote avalanches happening in the region. Avalanche Canada is still rating the hazard as considerable for all three elevations, alpine tree line and below tree line. And we are still getting surprised. Professionals are getting surprised. We had one of our ski patrollers take a little ride last week in an area that we were controlling, and yesterday there was a skier remote, which means a skier skied up, the weak layer failed, and then an avalanche failed lower down below them in the area that we were looking at last week up in Weimer Bowl into Scobbs Knob. So again, Avalanche Canada has extended their special avalanche warning in through to Monday with this bulletin. So they want people to have a heightened awareness. It's really a good time to stick into low angle terrain, to stay out of the steeper, more alpine features, because we're seeing this layer still being very reactive and still surprising us. Alright, so the layer that we're looking at here is down 40 centimeters. You can see the big thick rain crust, which at this elevation we're at 1950 meters on a northerly aspect. As you go up in elevation, that crust is going to get thinner, and that surface hoar is sitting right on top of that crust. So now we're going to do an extended column test. We've isolated a column of snow 30 centimeters by 90 centimeters wide. And if you watch down along this layer, I'm going to tap on the shovel and we'll see what kind of failure we get. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22, and that failed cleanly half of the block here. 22, 23, 24, 25. So we got another one right in there. 26, 7, 8, 9, 30. So you can see that that surface hoar layer right on top of the crust has failed halfway across this column, and we've had another failure. You can see that we've got another surface hoar layer just in there from December 27th. So you can see those big plate-like looking crystals that are very reflective. Those are the ones that stand up like feathers and are really weak. And there's a lot of air space in between them, so when a skier waits or a snowmobiler waits on top of that, these crystals in here collapse. So initially when I was hitting with the shovel, when I looked down it looked like it only failed to here, but on examining it a little further, it looks like it did propagate across the whole block. So you can imagine that's one chunk of snow here. If all of that were to fall down on somebody, it could have a pretty devastating impact. And again, you can see the nice, clean, planar surface there with the surface hoar on it. Alright, so here we're going to do a compression test and also take a little bit more of a look at this layer. So we've got a 30 by 30 centimeter column isolated, and it's similar to the other test that we were doing. So if you want to keep an eye on that layer, that's the one that we're looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's a little failure right there. Down about 15 centimeters. And we know the January 27th surface hoar is in that layer right in there. So that's one area that we're keeping an eye on. 18. So 18. One thing that's important when you're doing a compression test to be aware of, it's not as much how many taps and how hard it is, but it's the kind of failure that you get. So that was a sudden collapse. The whole block dropped, and there's higher incidence of skier triggered avalanches when you have that. So even if you have a hard compression test result, if it's a sudden result, a pop or a drop, then you're more likely to have skier triggered avalanches. So this layer is still very much of a concern. Okay, so the first failure we had was down 15 centimeters on the December 27th surface hoar. So we know later on that if this failure fails, it can step down into this weaker layer here. But this is really our big layer of concern. Just carefully flip it over. And you can see in here again those big surface hoar crystals. So they're big feathery crystals that have a lot of airspace in between them. They stand up, if you could imagine dominoes with lots of air or big feathers. And then as the weight of the skier or rider weights that upper part of the column, then those crystals can collapse and cause a big failure. Alright, so we've looked at these layers and we know that they're weak, so we want to keep an eye on that. Our weather forecast going in, we're actually going to get quite a bit of snow over the next few days. We'll get, another sort of 5 centimeters over the weekend, and then we've got a significant storm coming in with moderate to heavy snowfall. So we could see 20 plus centimeters coming in through Sunday night and Monday. So we know we've got 40 centimeters on top of that persistent weak layer. If we add another 20 centimeters on that, we will reach critical loading. So there will be natural avalanche activity, and certainly skier triggered avalanches will be very easy. They'll be very easy to trigger. So keep an eye on the weather forecast. Keep an eye on Avalanche Canada's bulletin. Again, they've extended their special avalanche warnings through to Monday. It's an excellent time to ski in low angle terrain. The snow right now is really good in the low angle terrain. In the steeper alpine features, the wind affected it really hard last Monday. So again, stay in the protected areas. We're really concerned about going into this January with the way that the conditions are setting up, the way that professionals are seeing these conditions, the way that people are getting surprised by it. So it's not the time to venture out without any experience. Great time to take a course. There's lots to look at. Lots of local operators that offer courses. We have some courses coming up through Whitewater as well. We also offer a Discover ski touring program, so a Learn to Ski Tour program that has an educational side to it. So lots of ways to get information. Keep up with that and stay tuned. Next week we'll do another Whitewater Avalanche conditions report for our area. If you want to see last week's video, what we were talking about, you can just check the link down here, and we'll see you next week. Have fun.